At SIB Solutions, what we do is who we are, and who we are is what we do.
So on April 14th, 2012, the Make Your Message Count Teen Conference Tour kicked off at the Waco Convention Center. From the onset, the event was designed to change the perspective, change the outlook, change the methodology of the way that the young people are processing. Right now, if you look out, the young people, they want to have this image of street swagger, street credibility when there's no credibility in the streets. So they sag their pants and they want to have this look of criminality, and they're wondered why they're targets. You know, well, it's like, well, when you look like the enemy, you get treated like the enemy. And unfortunately, we live in a society that is predicated upon, predation. I mean, you're either predator or you're prey in this society, and people are trying so very hard to not look like an object of predation. So our young people are strapped with this burden of, I have to look a certain way to keep from being victimized in my given environment. And so what we set out to do was systematically dismantle that particular ideology. And what we're trying to do is say the top of the food chain, the apex of the order, are not the criminal elements. They are the elements that have the ability to teach people how to live, and not only how to live, but live better. This is about a movement that is organic. This is not a flash in the pan. This is not a fad. This is saying we have the ability to change the way Waco sees itself based on what Waco is doing and what our young people are doing. I mean, the idea that a young person would look at a video on television and say, well, based on what I saw on television, this is how I want to look. I mean, most people can process that the heads of state, the leaders of the free world, do not look like the people that are the apex of the order and the disenfranchised population. So there's a disconnection completely. They don't understand what the top of the food chain actually looks like. So they mimic bottom feeding habits. And so we set out again to acknowledge that there's a problem with our young people and our young people's ability to communicate. They're communicating the wrong message. What we need to do is to teach them how to process and how to communicate so that they can stop marginalizing themselves, so they can stop disenfranchising themselves, so they can stop undermining their own abilities and their own aspirations. I mean, simply put, if I put on a ski mask and an overcoat and I walk into a Chase Bank, even as a customer, how am I going to be received? How will they respond to me? Versus if I show up in a suit and tie to apply for a loan. Now, is it fair? Is it right? It doesn't matter. The reality is, what message am I communicating? And whether it is right, wrong, indifferent, fair, unfair, if you fail to convey the thought, then you have failed to communicate. It's no different than if I speak Hebrew and you speak Greek. We can sit here and talk to each other and never communicate. So our young people need to learn how to communicate. And once we have taught our people how to communicate effectively, to be able to use critical analytic skills, to be able to use deductive reasoning, then our young people will find themselves in a better situation. So this is what we've done with the Make Your Message Count Teen Conference Tour. This is a solid investment of the community in the community. This is the community saying, you know what, we're not looking for someone to come from the outside and save us. This is a community saying we're going to save ourselves from within. And it begins with developing infrastructure. And that infrastructure consists of human resources, not just financial and natural.
At SIB Solutions, what we do is who we are, and who we are is what we do.